Hello, welcome back to Podium Pop, a Formula One and motorsport podcast. I'm Grace, here with my co-host Celine, and we are going to give you a race recap for the Formula One race today, a race recap for the Indycar race today, and then we're going to talk a bit about Formula 2 and Formula One Academy. Before we get started, though, make sure you are following us on all of our social media. We are on TikTok, Instagram, we're on Twitter. We're not there much.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get this episode started with popping the bottle to get right in.
Busy week.
We
had Formula 1, Formula 1 Academy, Formula 2, Formula 3, IndyCar, Indy Next, all on the same weekend.
So much was happening.
And we went to a concert.
Yeah.
And you know what? We survived.
We did survive.
I'm a survivor.
We watched it all, now we're filming at 9:20 p.m.
Yeah. It's been a long weekend.
Yeah.
But a good weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend, honestly.
We're going to start out by talking about Formula 1.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot kind of happened.
Busy
week.
Insane.
Craziest thing about the week is that we did not get an announcement by Carlos at his home Grand Prix.
Which we were so sure of.
So sure. And everyone was, because, like,
yeah.
it's so common for them to announce at their home Grand Prix. Like,
yeah.
It's kind of expected. So everyone was literally just ready for this announcement. And it was almost rumor from Twitter, from the paddock, is that it was supposed to come out.
Mm-hmm,
and
yeah.
they postponed it because Carlos, I guess, didn't fully make the decision yet.
The way somebody said it, that was like a journalist in the paddock, was basically he has two contracts in front of him. I'm assuming it's Audi and Williams.
That's what my guess would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and even in the press conference, before he was in the press conference, he was one of the drivers there, and actually one of the interviewers asked K-Mag, they were like, Kevin, when do you know what your contract will look like next year? He's like, well, we're just kind of waiting for, like, the cork in the bottle. And he's like, well, what's the cork in the bottle? And he points to Carlos. He's like, that guy. And then they kind of were talking to Carlos, and they're like, has a decision been made? Like, do you know? And he's like, I still have not made a decision yet.
Yeah.
As of, like, it was, like, Thursday. He has not made a decision. And he's like, I need some time at home to think about it. I need a couple of days. Which basically implies that we might have a decision soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even if a decision is soon in the next couple of days, I don't know if that necessarily means that they'll announce it as soon as the decision is made. But I would expect them to, because...
I was going to say, they might not announce it for Carlos, but if other drivers then start signing these contracts, they're going to start announcing these other drivers.
Yeah, so you'd think... And that would kind of imply where Carlos is going.
So
You'd think that they would want to get it out.
They're probably going to get it out right away, before people are like, oh, okay, he's actually for sure going to Williams.
Yeah. So, and maybe they'll do it, if it is Williams, maybe they'll do it at Silverstone, because it's Williams' home race?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Did we talk about Kimi we talked about Kimi Antonelli and the FIA last week, right?
Mm-hmm,
okay,
yeah.
Good. I wanted to make sure we talked about that. Because that also is going to could have some changes made to Williams even sooner than that. We don't know. We'll talk about it more later in the week, or in the episode. But Williams had a pretty sucky weekend all around. And it wasn't Logan's fault, but it looked really bad for Logan, and he didn't really have even a chance to prove himself.
No, not at all.
So we'll talk more about that as well, but some changes could be coming for Williams sooner than we would like. Very sad.
It's really sad.
Some other crazy things that happened.
McLaren caught on fire. The team hub did.
Full on caught on fire. There was an electrical fire in the hospitality, kitchen area. Of the motorhome from McLaren, and it was like a pretty big one.
Yeah, everyone was okay, luckily. There was one McLaren team member that went to the hospital, but they were discharged with no
major
injuries. And I heard there were a few firefighters that went with just smoke inhalation. Is that the right word?
Uh-huh.
And I saw they were discharged as well.
Yeah, they were, they had to call in firefighters. There's a picture of them, of Oscar and Lando standing outside of the motorhome while the firefighters are working on it. Lando just didn't have his shoes
on, yeah.
Which, good for Lando for getting out of there quickly.
Yeah.
He understood the procedure.
He
said, I gotta go.
Time to leave.
So it was good that everyone was safe, though. And apparently they had a lot of the other teams, and even the FIA reached out and said that they would help kind of host a lot of the McLaren guests as well as the drivers and make sure that everyone was taken care of. And even in the post-race, like, recapped by Stella, Oscar, and Lando, Stella brought up how he was like, it feels good because even if we're, like, tough competitors on the track, there was still that sense of community, like, everyone reaching out, making sure that they were taken care of. So it was cute.
Waking up, though, Saturday morning to seeing the McLaren Hub caught on fire, Charles and Lando colliding during practice, and something else happened. I forgot about this. I was like, I can't do this right now.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
There's a picture of firefighters literally, like, writing out their plan of attack for the fire on the side of the Alpine garage.
One of the it was in Spanish, but one of them apparently said, "Find fire, put out fire."
Yeah. Great plan.
Great plan. And then there were, like, pictures of an Alpine mechanic, like, running with a fire extinguisher, which, you know, it's nice.
Very
to
cute.
see. Yeah.
It reminds me of, I forget which team it was. I think maybe it was Haas. But last year, like, in Qatar, when everyone, like, all the drivers were, like, passing out, and how, like, the teams really kind of rallied around each other and helped each other out. When Alex was, like, struggling to get out of the car, like,
I think it was
the Haas mechanics came up before Williams mechanics could even get to him.
I think
Haas saw he was struggling, and, like, they went and helped him out, and it was just like, you know, like, yes, it's just very lovely to see, because I think Formula One gets the reputation a lot, compared to IndyCar, it gets the reputation a lot that, like, they're really cutthroat and they're not friendly and they're not friends, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Although more recently, there seems to be more driver on driver drama in IndyCar than there is in Formula One.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
You mentioned the contact between Charles and Lando in practice.
And
Charles,
that upset him.
It upset him. Charles did not think that it was his fault.
Yeah. Everybody
else thought it was his fault. The commentators, even the stewards, although he didn't get a penalty for it, they did note that they gave him a reprimand. Mm-hmm. And then there was a moment after qualifying that Lando and Max were gossiping about it. And Max, they were like, yeah, all I got was a reprimand. He was like, that was it?
Said my front wing was fucked.
Yep. But, let's see, anything
Ollie ran FP1.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it was, like, the most successful FP1 session.
Yeah.
But I don't think K-Mac did that spectacular either.
Yeah.
And we also, like, once again, they could have been testing anything.
Right. It's always so hard, too, in the very first practice session. Like, I think you get a better idea of what the car looks like in either FP2 or FP3, depending on when you go for, like, long stints versus short stints. But the first practice is always just figuring out the car setup. Yeah. And so it's sucks that, like, when the rookies do come in, which we haven't gotten a lot of, I feel like that's gonna be very heavy in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I mean, like, last year they did, like, over half of them in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Abu Dhabi,
yeah. So yeah, that was a thing. Some other things that happened before, kind of outside the track, is, I think we woke up Saturday morning as well to these comments about Zhou. I guess Zhou made some comments about Yuki.
I think it was this morning.
Was it this morning?
On Sunday morning.
Oh, it was after qualifying.
Because he said it, yeah.
Yeah, and I point this out because we don't often hear of Zhou talking crap in the media.
Well, we should also say he was talking to Chinese media, and it was translated for us. Mm-hmm. We obviously don't know Chinese.
Yeah, it could.
So, like, if something's lost in translation, let us know.
Yeah. But it basically, the reason I bring it up is he just talked about how he thinks that if he acted the way that Yuki acts, although Yuki's been much better about it now, he wouldn't have a seat, and that Yuki's relying a lot on his sponsors, which there is a part of that I think is true, but it's interesting to me that Zhou's being so vocal about it, and I do wonder if that means that he knows that he's not getting a contract extension next year. Like, I wonder if he's like, just like, you know what, fuck it. Let me just talk what I want to say. He's like, I've been holding this in for a while. Yeah. Let me speak up about this. So that was interesting to me.
It was very interesting.
Should we move on to qualifying?
Yeah, qualifying was pretty standard.
Fantastic.
For the first, Q1 and Q2.
Yeah, so the final 10, it was both McLarens, both Mercedes, both Ferraris, both Alpines, and both Red Bulls. that were in the top 10, so into Q3, and
Lando got
pole, man, and it was
so good.
It was nice, and it was a bit unexpected because Max was leading in both Q1 and Q2, so for him to come out and Lando to kind of pull away in that perfect lap that he put together in the last session, it was very unexpected, but very pleasant surprise for us as McLaren fans.
I feel like Lando was saving it because for both Q1 and Q2, he did an out lap and then a push lap, and then he scored high enough and just didn't go, or ranked high enough and didn't go back out. So then I feel like, he really had everything in him for Q3.
Yeah, for sure. Oscar did not put a time on the board.
Struggled a bit.
He finished in Q3. He did complete 2 laps, but both push laps that he completed, he got track limit violations, so his lap times got deleted, which sucks.
Yeah.
It was the same corner on both sides too that he went a little wide, and it was definitely just something with the car setup, because we knew that the car had the pace because Lando had the pace.
Yeah. He was kind of saying all weekend that he wasn't feeling the most comfortable in the car. So I feel like also with Oscar, a lot of times we forget, like, this is his second year in Formula One. Like, I don't know, these are like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I saw like somebody like so stressed on Twitter, and I was like, it's okay.
Literally, like, Lando has 5 years on him. Max has so many years on him. Yeah. Like, the people that he was in there with all have been on the track so much longer than him. Like, the closest one to him is literally Lando. Everybody else has been on the track longer than him. Or Lando and George. They both joined in 2019, but everybody else joined ahead of them. Like, yeah, he's doing great. I think people forget because he's so good. I do think people forget. Yeah. Even I forget sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
That he really is so young in his career. Like, he's allowed to make mistakes, and hopefully he kind of gets it together. He did beat himself up a little bit about it. You could tell over the weekend, but I think he'll bounce back. He normally does pretty good about bouncing back really from weekends like this. Yeah. Versus like Lando, if he has like a really bad weekend, it puts him in a bit of a funk for some weeks sometimes for like some weeks moving forward. So, interesting comparing the two. But yeah, great qualifying. So Lando was on pole, and then it was Max, Lewis, George. And then it was both Ferraris with Charles being the lead Ferrari, Pierre, Checo, Esteban, and then Oscar in 10th. Although Checo has the three-place grid penalty from the last race in Canada. So it was actually Checo starting in 11th, and Oscar started in 9th, and Esteban started in 10th.
Alonso started in 10th.
Alonso started in 10th.
Yeah.
Did Oscar start in 8th then?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay,
so it was Alonso, Oscar, Ocon, Gasly, Sainz, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris.
Yeah. Did you all get that?
I bet you did.
So that was qualifying. And then moving on to the race. Lando did not turn his pole into a win, unfortunately. But
that start was like rough.
It was the start. It really was
rough.
I am surprised Lando didn't get a penalty for it.
No, I know.
And normally we are full on Lando defenders.
Yeah.
He probably needed a penalty for that. Like, he did not leave enough room.
No, he even tried to say afterwards in the...
I think he was joking.
Oh, probably. But they, like laughed at him.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
I saw a tweet that was like, imagine, like, the two people with combined, like, 10 world champions just laughing in your face, cackling in your face.
I got up and laughed.
That's actually so us-coded, the cackling. They started cackling, we're like, yeah.
I feel like Lando was just so focused on Max. He did not leave him enough room. He didn't think about anyone behind him, and that just allowed George to slip right past both of them.
Yeah.
Which was very unfortunate.
I do think, even if Max would have gotten the jump on Lando at the beginning, I think letting George through really hurt Lando the most because Max did very quickly catch up to George and get ahead of him. But then Lando's pace got slowed down because he was stuck behind George, and George didn't have as much pace to keep up with Max. That gave Max a huge gap, and then Lando was just kind of fighting back to that gap pretty much the whole race.
Yeah.
Where even if Max did get the jump on him at the very beginning, I think Lando had the pace to actually catch up to him.
Yeah.
But because he was getting a little, he jumped the gun a bit. Mm-hmm. I think that caused an issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of jumping the gun, K-Mag also got a penalty for a false start.
I forgot about that.
Likely place for him to be. That man collects penalties like no other.
Sure does.
So that will be just another one for him to add to his record books.
Is he still at 10 points on a race ban out of 12?
I don't know.
I think he is.
I'm not sure.
Shocked he hasn't gotten the full 12 penalty points.
Yeah. I am too.
Yeah.
The race was very, it was pretty good. There were a lot of good overtakes. Again, we talked about it. Williams had a very bad weekend.
Such a bad
They
weekend.
knew it would be a bad weekend because of the way that the track was laid out.
I think it was, like, worse than I could have even expected.
No, they were, like, even, like, Logan was like, this was, as a whole, our whole team, the worst race of the year so far. And Logan was supposed to have the upgrades that matched Alex's.
So annoying.
And it did kind of upset me how, like, this wasn't really, like, talked about by James or the team.
No, nobody
in
talked
any
about
of the
it.
recaps. So most people that are, like, casual fans of the sport don't know this. So they just assume Logan's, like, horrible. But Logan was supposed to have the upgrades that basically catch him up to Alex's upgrades. Mm-hmm. But they put him on the car and they weren't working, so they took off the upgrades, basically, and let him just continue in that same older car.
Hey guys, let's not tell anybody, by the way, that our driver is continuing with old upgrades.
Yeah, and it's just like, and I think it also just is like, they were so like vocal about giving him those upgrades, but when they took them away, they were so silent.
No, literally.
And so most people are just like, wow, Logan is doing pretty bad. Mm-hmm. He also got a penalty during qualifying, but he was already in 20th. So, although Alex did have to start from the pit lane, because he had a power unit upgrade.
Oh, power unit.
Right?
Yeah. I said you were right, yeah.
And he still kind of pulled ahead of Logan pretty quickly, so. But Logan finished the race, baby!
Should we talk about this Logan rumor?
Yeah.
Or should we finish up with the race?
Oh, I just, the only other thing I have to talk about is Carlos and Charles.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, Carlos and Charles fought pretty hard during the race. They started next to each other, and they were pretty much next to each other throughout the whole race. They finished in 5th and 6th, with Charles finishing ahead, but it was back and forth quite a bit, and there wasn't any major contact between them, but there was definitely many, many close calls, and Charles was not happy.
Charles was not
after
happy.
the race. And it's so hard because, like, you know, you see Charles and he's just, like, a cute little sweetie pie all the time. Which, like, obviously, he's super competitive, though. And he doesn't... He puts up with bullshit by the wrong people. Like, he puts up with, like, bullshit by Ferrari makes calls. And he's like, no, that's fine. We'll make the stupid call. But then I think he doesn't put up with bullshit for Carlos.
No, not at all.
He will call Carlos out. And I think it's because he knows that Ferrari's going to back him, so he has the confidence to kind of call Carlos out, where, like, he can't really call out Ferrari. But he was not happy. He went up to him and had quite a heated argument.
Yeah.
It was more like less of an argument, more of a...
They were, like, talking, but, like, it was...
Definitely Charles was coming in hot to Carlos, and Carlos was like, all right, like, which we've seen before in the past. So I don't know if that's going to cause more issues, but it even transpired into, like, the media where Charles mentioned something in the media about how it was like Carlos almost, like, ruined his race. Yeah. And I guess one of the interviewers, like, mentioned that to Carlos, and Carlos made the comment being like, Charles just really likes to complain after the races. And I was like,
oh, God.
The drama the girls are fighting.
No, literally.
So I wonder if that's going to continue, or if we're going to be seeing a lot of PR videos by Ferrari come out in the next 2 weeks because they're like, we got to fix this. Or if they're just going to realize that there's not really much.
They might be over it at this point.
You know what we forgot to talk about?
What?
the Mercedes email.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that.
So, it made me think of this because final is Max won, Lando came in second, and Lewis came in third. Mm-hmm. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that there were Mercedes pit crew and everyone there at the podium to support Lewis, which did not happen at the last race, which a lot of people say was a contributing factor to him leaving Mercedes. But before qualifying?
I think it was at the beginning of the weekend.
Beginning of the weekend.
It was like Thursday-ish, I feel like.
Yeah, before the beginning of the weekend, an anonymous email was sent out to a group of F1 reporters. Correct me if I'm wrong about anything.
Okay.
It was the same exact email mailing list as the anonymous email that got sent out about the Christian Horner situation at the beginning of the season. But an email was sent out basically saying that Mercedes, this is also rumored to be coming from a internal Mercedes employee, is basically writing this email. And they said Mercedes is purposely sabotaging Lewis, and that it could be, like, fatal mistakes. Like, they're sabotaging him in ways that, like, he could literally die by driving this car.
Yeah.
And Toto was like, whoa.
Pump the brakes.
That's not true.
Yeah.
We are not sabotaging our driver. I don't think that any F1 team, I don't think any of them are malicious enough to sabotage their driver on purpose. But even if they were...
Well, crash gate.
Malicious... Oh, yeah. But, like, even if they were malicious enough, I don't think they would actually go through with it. Because at the end of the day...
Yeah.
They still need those points.
Yeah. I don't think they're sabotaging... It would sabotage him enough to... where he's, like, in danger.
Yeah.
I would at least hope not, but... I don't know.
But then again, like, I mean... I don't think they're sabotaging him. I think maybe they are definitely probably working with George a bit more.
Yeah.
They're pushing George more in the media. I think they're definitely, like, treating George as the number one driver.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, because why wouldn't they at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, then again, Lewis gave them a lot of great years and really sacrificed a lot for him. But it is true, like, George needs to start learning how to be the number one driver. But we don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah, we don't.
But basically, Toto was really obviously pissed off that this happened, and he was appalled by the allegations. So he literally ended up calling police to do an investigation to see if they could track the IP address, to see where the email came from. We don't have an update from that.
We don't have an update.
It would be interesting to see, though, if they do find the IP address, to see if whoever sent... Because they never confirmed who sent the Christian Horner email either.
No.
And I do wonder if... It's just interesting that it was the exact same mailing list.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
To me. I don't know.
I'm sure they would have tried to... I'm sure Horner's camp would have tried to track the IP of that.
Yeah. So, we'll obviously update you if we hear anything else. We heard a lot about this at one point, and then we really didn't get any follow-up. Like, it's kind of like it wasn't continued to be talked about.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what's happening. But yes, let's go ahead and talk about Logan.
Oh, okay, so... This was once again, we saw it on our timeline on Twitter. Somebody said, why did I just hear Logan in an interview say that he'll be back in Barcelona next year for points?
Or that he hopes to win points next year when he's in Barcelona.
Yeah. So then everybody was like, huh? Next year in Barcelona? Literally. Next year in Barcelona. I'm going to preface this by saying I feel like he probably said something, like it was lost in translation.
Yeah.
And he said something along the lines of, hope to be fighting for points soon, next time, and, like, something just got missed, because everybody was like, and the one tweet you saw, everybody was like, where's the video, and this person was like, I don't know, I only saw everybody on my timeline talking about it, I haven't seen the video. It's like, I'm not about to say this is, like, set in stone news.
I would give this rumor very little
I'll give it like a 4.7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd probably give it less than that, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like if he actually said that, videos would be posted everywhere. Unless it was print media, but then...
No.
If it was print media, then...
We would have seen it still.
We would have seen it, but the article may have not fully come out yet.
Oh, maybe.
So maybe if it is a print media, because those normally take a while, they have to go to an editor, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll see that overnight at some point.
I don't know. Who knows?
And even if he's saying that, maybe he's just manifesting.
Yeah, no,
because
really.
he
Also,
is one of the
he's just trying
girlies.
to start shit right now.
Yeah.
But then everybody was like, oh my god, he was so happy coming into this week knowing it was a shitty track. I think he was coming in happy because he thought he was having the upgrades. And then they got taken away because it wasn't working.
So sad.
But I If Logan stays with another team on the rest of the grid, I formulated what I think could be for 2025, and I'm going to spew it out really quick. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Red Bull stays the same. McLaren stays the same. I think Mercedes will be George and Kimi. Mm-hmm. I think Aston is going to stay the same.
Ferrari the same.
Ferrari
with Lewis.
Ferrari with Lewis. Mr. Sainz to Williams with Alex. Mm-hmm. Logan and Ollie to Haas.
Yep. Which... Love that
Would be
lineup.
insane. Esteban to Sauber with Nico. Which two teams am I forgetting?
You're forgetting Alpine.
Oh, Alpine is going to be... Pierre's going to stay. Jack is going to come up. And then...
Who did you not talk about?
Yeah, who did I not talk about? Scroll real quick.
I think you got everyone.
Oh no,
RB.
AlphaTauri. Oh my god.
Which name do we want to go with? Visa Catch Up Racing Bulls, AlphaTauri, Toro Rosso.
Yuki, it'll probably be Daniel. I would love it for it to be
I kind of keep forgetting that they haven't already announced that Daniel's going to be there next year. Because in my head, like, they talk Daniel up so much, and he's so, like, in the media and public for them that it's like, I just assume at this point that he will. Yeah. But if he didn't, it would be Liam. Yeah. Which I'd be happy with. But
that's just, if for some reason Logan's staying on the grid, that is what I think will happen.
I would love for Logan to be at Haas. I think it would definitely be very different to see Logan as an American driver with an American team that has a lot of American sponsors. I do think that he would maybe be taken care of a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Not that Haas has a great history of taking care of their drivers, but I do think that it's gotten, no offense to Gunther, I think it's gotten a lot better this year. Yeah. And you can sense a difference in the team that I think could be good for Logan.
I actually kind of take that back a little bit.
Take what back?
Haas.
What about it?
I feel like if he moves there, I doubt Logan's moving there, but if he moves there, him and Ollie, just a young team.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, I mean, Haas has a pretty old team at this point. It's not really doing them much good, is it?
You know.
And they can't really afford to have older drivers that are good. Like, they're bringing in 2 young people, and it's definitely going to show, like, maybe they're trying to do a long-term investment. Like, yeah, maybe the first year is going to suck.
That's true.
But if they're both talented drivers, they've proven that in Formula 3 and Formula 2. So maybe they're like, might as well get these drivers in early that we can afford.
Say they can do
and develop them.
Yeah, develop them for 26.
For 26 versus trying to get some not as good, more experienced drivers in here that are going to break our bank a little bit more.
Good point.
Something to think about.
I also think Esteban's options are Haas or Sauber. Haas or Sauber / Audi.
Mm-hmm. Unless, I do wonder maybe if for some reason Carlos goes to Audi, then maybe Esteban to Williams.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind an Esteban and Alex driver lineup.
That's a lanky team right there.
That's a lanky team.
That's the string bean team.
It sure is. Once again, like MJ on TikTok talked about, the podcast could continue.
Yeah. They would have they'd be like a really like nerdy podcast. Like they'd be talking about like some nerdy stuff on there, and I would love it.
What do you mean?
Like, Esteban is so nerdy with, like,
he just, like, loves
superheroes
Marvel.
and, like, yeah, and, like, he likes the RC cars and, like, all that.
That's true.
I think they would get along really well as teammates.
Yeah, I think they would as well.
And we know Esteban has a history of not doing having great relations with his teammates. And I think Alex would be a really good person to, like, be like, no, we're friends. Like,
yeah.
Alex is so friendly, I think.
He's so friendly, and I feel like he's a...
Although, he did get sassy on the radio for, like...
Yeah.
It was pretty sassy. Like, he asked, it's like... Or he got into the gravel, and he went to his mechanic, and he's like, what happened? Like, what just happened with that? Like, that's not okay. Or like, he was like, what happened with that? And the mechanic immediately was like, no, it's okay. And he was like, no, that's not okay.
He's like, don't respond in just 5 seconds.
Yeah, like, look at the data and tell me. Don't just be like, it's okay, immediately.
Yeah.
Which I think he was definitely right for.
Oh, yeah.
For saying that. And then the last piece of news I had to talk about was, once again, just bringing up how off-pace Checo is compared to Max.
Yeah.
It seems like we say this every single week.
No, literally.
And I do wonder if this trend continues, if it's going to affect anything with his contract. Because we know that there's clauses in there in his contract that will change. It could change. There's no way. It's Red Bull. They definitely put something in the contract.
Well, yeah, I feel like every team
performance
has one.
clause. But, yeah, because, obviously they want someone there that's going to not battle Max and not fight Max too hard on things. But they also want someone there that's going to make sure that they're bringing home stable points.
I know.
And the stability has just not been there much this season at all.
Yeah.
I mean, how often has Checo been on the podium this season yet?
Yeah.
When?
In the beginning. There was one with Lando. It was 2.
Yeah.
It was Max and Checo.
But, like, the fact that we have to, like, think of, like, I don't know. And it's just compared to last year. Obviously, he was on the podium a lot more. But it's just, I think he is a great driver.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think last year he got really lucky because the Red Bull car was so good.
Yeah.
That even if he was really off pace with Max, he still was making podiums. He still was bringing home the, second and third place very often. But now that the other cars are matching up and Max is still successful because he's such a great driver, I think Checo's like, oh crap, like I need to like figure that out. So I do wonder if anything's going to change from that. But he's really off pace. I mean, even in qualifying, he barely made it into Q3, and then even in Q3 he still was pretty far back in the pack. So
yeah, it was kind of insane.
Interesting stuff.
Very interesting.
Let's do our champagne pops and problems.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and do your champagne pop.
My champagne pop for the week was Max.
I think that's well deserved.
Yeah, he
killed it.
Did really well getting past George in the beginning, and then also just recovering from Lando almost pushing him off. And he didn't have the fastest car on the grid, but he was able to pull away and keep that lead. He kept like a 2-second lead to Lando towards the end of the race.
I gave my champagne pop to Lewis.
Oh, nice.
I think it's been a while since he's been on the podium, and I think with the Mercedes car, again, it's so inconsistent, it's hard. So, like, even if they do great in qualifying, it's always hard to kind of turn that into a podium. And I think he did a very good job. I also gave an honorable mention to the firefighters that put out the McLaren fire.
Definitely.
So that's good. And then my champagne problem, I gave to the whole team of Williams.
I also gave it to the whole team of Williams.
Because it was a bad weekend for them.
Bad.
Like, there was not one real win that came out of it. Like, not only did they, like, really not do good during the race, and then they didn't really talk about Logan. They didn't even give him the upgrades, and all around it was a big old L for Williams this week.
Logan was getting out of the car, not mad at his driving. He was getting mad out of the car from his team.
Yeah, which normally he's quick to blame himself.
For sure he could have had a bit of a better drive today, but it's not going to be helping if your team's not there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I have an honorable mention for champagne problem. I just everybody but heard about the driver of the day vote.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, first of all, listen. I'm going to say this. If this was your driver... I know I'm biased because it's Lando.
Yep.
And I think it's hilarious. I think it's fun. I also think Lando did a great job. Sure, he bottled the lead and didn't turn his pole into a win. But he got back up into second place, and first of all, his battle with George was the most entertaining part of the race.
Oh my gosh, it was terrifying to watch.
It was so scary, and he got away and ended up in front of George.
Yeah. No, I think he definitely deserves an honorable mention.
No, I think he deserved driver of the day.
Oh.
But I think everybody upset about this deserves a champagne problem.
Right.
And if it was your favorite driver getting driver of the day, you wouldn't be this upset. We all have to recognize the fact that, like, the Lando girlies and McLaren girlies are happy because it's Lando and McLaren. And if it was, like, Charles or Carlos getting every week, people would be like, oh, that's so exciting. And it's not like he didn't do shit to not earn it.
He literally got in second place. Like, you have to have a pretty successful race to even get on the podium at all. So, I think anyone, you can make the case for anyone, but he won anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
It's driver of the day. Please don't be so upset about this.
Yeah, exactly.
It means quite literally nothing.
Before we move on to other races, do we want to do our predictions for Austria?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that was part one of the triple header. So, we had Barcelona. Next, we have Austria, which is Red Bull's home race. And then we have Silverstone, which is a big one. So, Austria, again, is Red Bull's home race. So, I did put Max on podium, but I did not have Max winning.
Oh, who do you have winning?
I have Lando winning.
Okay.
I have Lando, Max, and I put George on there because I think Mercedes has been really good.
Yeah, they've been really good. I think Ferrari's trying to figure their upgrades out a bit.
And I think that maybe not necessarily this race, but in the past, like, 3-ish races, I think George has been the faster Mercedes, which is why I put him on the podium rather than Lewis.
Okay. I think it's also going to be probably Max, Lando. I'm going to say Max, Lando, and a Ferrari.
Okay. Which one?
Charles.
Yeah.
I feel like Charles is really hungry. Carlos is as well, but I feel like sometimes Charles is a little bit better at turning over that hunger.
Carlos is one of those drivers that gets in his head a bit.
Yeah, he gets a bit frustrated sometimes.
You can tell, like, you can very obviously categorize drivers into ones that sometimes do get in their own heads. Lando would be in that group, and other drivers that are really good at compartmentalizing, like Max and Oscar and some of the more mellow guys, like Valtteri. Yeah. He does not get in his own head about things.
No.
Logan does. So I think it's easy. But I think, although I would categorize Charles as getting in his own head as well, but not as bad as Carlos.
I also think Oscar's going to have a lot better of a race and qualifying session next week, and the stats came out, and he is, like, highly improving on his tire management, which that's really exciting to see. I could see Oscar on the podium, but I feel like he'll be in that top 5 range. Yeah,
I've stopped talking about Oscar because I've been hyping him up at every single podcast the last couple, and I'm never right. So I'm hoping that maybe if I don't bring up his name, good things will come to him. So,
there you go.
But I think it'll be a good race. I'm excited. I'm sure we'll get a lot of good Red Bull content.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it'll be their home race, and I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens there. But
do you think Lando will get pole again, or do you think?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't think
so. But
either.
I think he'll have the race pace to do it. I think Max will get pole.
Yeah.
And I think Lando will win.
I think also that high atmosphere is going to help feed in for the Red Bulls. I feel like that always helps. That's like a given.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Move on to... Should we do IndyCar?
Yeah, let's talk about IndyCar.
So IndyCar was in Laguna Seca this week.
Monterey, California.
And this was also a very good race. So I kind of came in with not a lot of expectations for this race. I hadn't really heard about it a lot. It wasn't talked about too much that I heard of. But we watched the first practice session.
Oh my gosh.
we saw them going down that corkscrew.
I was so scared.
Oh my god. I saw like one session with the corkscrew and I was like, you know what? I'm in. I am invested in this because it is actually insane, that drop off.
No, it's so crazy. And we also talked about the fact that these Formula One cars would just topple over.
Oh my gosh.
They would go nose first and do front flips.
You put Max Verstappen, even Max Verstappen, in a Formula One car and send him down the corkscrew.
Not surviving.
No, he's going midair, flipping through.
Yeah,
it would not work at all.
It's just those cars, like, it's insane.
It's insane for sure. It was a really good race though. A lot of which to be expected. A lot of people in the gravel, but nothing not too many major things. There weren't a lot of yellow flags.
That's really,
there weren't. Yeah, there really weren't a lot until the end.
There were 2 at the end.
Another thing to note, that we didn't talk about Formula One is everyone finished the race in Formula One. There were no DNFs.
Yeah.
I don't think there were any yellow flags at all.
My prediction for a lap 1 incident did not happen.
Yeah. And, sorry, that was the comment I have for Formula One. Back to IndyCar. This is the first race, I think, in either 2 or 3 races that there hasn't been a lap 1 incident.
Oh, yeah.
That caused a yellow flag.
Yeah.
Which was good, because that's stressful.
Yeah, it is.
So, let me pull up. Who was on pole?
Hello?
I don't know.
It was Plo and Kirkwood, top 2.
Yeah.
No.
Plo, Kirkwood.
Yeah.
Oh, Felix, and then Colton. Which Felix did really good. I was actually really impressed with Meyer Shank this weekend.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with Romain Grosjean as well.
Yeah, that was so random.
He was killing it, and even the commentators were like, on paper, this should not be a good track for this team. But he, many times in interviews, even leading up to this race, Romain was like, this is one of my favorite tracks to race on.
Well, and he was like, we've had the car all season. And we were like, have you?
Yeah. Oh! So, some notable moments throughout the race. Penske had a rough weekend. Gracie sabotaged them.
I would just like to say, last week I predicted that no Penske's would be on the podium and there would be an Arrow McLaren on the podium, and both of those came true.
She was right. She was right. The only prediction I got that was true was that Colton was on the podium. But Penske, there was a lot of issues. So Will Power and Scotty Mack did bump into each other. Joseph Newgarden had many moments. He spun off at one point and then he got back in. Safety car got him. Everyone thought he was going to finish second. He spun off again. He just went out of left field. Don't know exactly what was going on, but Penske was struggling. They were on the struggle bus.
I'm so sorry. We started talking about IndyCar. We didn't even mention the biggest news of the week.
Which was?
Teo got fired!
Did we not talk about that already?
No, because it happened at the beginning of the week.
We talked about that.
No, we didn't. Because last week was Le Mans, and we recorded on Monday. And Teo tweeted Monday. Literally last week in the podcast, I said, Teo even tweeted he's so excited for Laguna. And then Tuesday
we talked about it.
No, we did not.
I swear.
No, we did not.
Because remember, I was like, oh, it was David's turn, and then Noah's.
No.
Oh, wait, maybe we did it.
Because he got announced on Tuesday, and we recorded on Monday, and we uploaded on Tuesday.
See, I can't keep up with this stupid number 6 car.
I know.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, give him a rundown.
All right, so, in the whole saga of the Arrow McLaren number 6 car, Teo Pourchaire, back in May, was finally signed to run all the races, except for the 500. And then we were like, oh, great, we have Teo. We have the stable driver the rest of the season. He did great enough, too.
He did great.
And then all of a sudden, the situation with the death threats from Canapino sitting out, Nolan Siegel coming in and taking Canapino's spot at the race, and then in Detroit.
Yes.
In Detroit. And then everyone's like, well, Nolan did pretty good. And then Nolan goes off to Le Mans. He goes and wins Le Mans in LMP2 with the United Autosports team that is sponsored by Arrow McLaren, and they drive the McLaren cars. And I would also like to go back a little bit at the Indy 500, where Tony Kanaan was at Nolan's team when he was doing the last chance for the 500. So it's starting to make sense a little bit.
We know he has ties. He drove for McLaren and Le Mans. He obviously has that relationship with TK. Like, there were signs.
Yeah, we were just kind of missing them.
And honestly, like, if it wasn't really put into perspective on, like, why this call was made until...
Oh, well, we didn't finish it out.
Okay, yeah, keep going.
And then on Monday, we made our podcast episode, and we were like, aw, Teo's so excited. He's, like, excited to race at Laguna. Teo's doing so good. He's 71 points, and the next rookie up is 100. Like, he could catch it. We talked about Teo for so long.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there on Tuesday. I see a tweet, and someone's like, the IndyCar grid is about to be shook up, and they tweeted an orange heart with it, and I was like, no way.
We were like, sure. We even joked about it.
No.
We joked about it. Because we're like, it's that's not possible.
And Teo...
Maybe for, like, next year or something.
Yeah. And Nolan's Indy Next seat, someone stepped up onto his Indy Next team, and people were like, oh my god. And then people were like, Siegel's about to be signed to an IndyCar team. We don't know where. And then this man tweeted the orange heart. And people were like, well, he's not going to the number 6. Like, we just signed Teo. Why fire Teo? He's doing so good. He has 71 points when he's down 3 races. No. And then the man told us, he said, at 3 p.m., everybody, be ready. There will be an announcement. We were like, I was literally texting you so fast, and then I have, like, Arrow McLaren's tweet notifications on, and I saw the tweet. I was, like, at work, and I was like, what?
No, it was, it was a lot of people were very, very unhappy with Arrow McLaren.
Yeah.
And I get why.
No, 100%.
Arrow McLaren has a history of screwing over their drivers.
Yeah.
We see that even just with this season, but even seasons past.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, again, I was pretty pissed off about the decision. I think there was a TikTok I saw by McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Loves Motorsports. And she kind of put it into perspective on why it happened the way that it did. And it was really just because of some of the rules with, like, rookie, like, how you can be considered a rookie and where you can get the most out of it, and, like, why they had to kind of sign him immediately, because if not, another team would have snatched him up, would have offered him a seat right away, but they would have offered a multi-year contract. McLaren would have lost out on that.
Yeah.
I get why. It's harsh, but I think the issue with it is that whenever they pulled Nolan up to go in Detroit for Canapino's spot, it automatically took him out of the running to win the Indy Next championship. Yeah. So at that point, he was like, okay, I did this one point, even though I don't have a permanent seat, I don't really give a fuck about Indy Next anymore. I'm focused only on IndyCar. I'm only focused on it. And that, along with winning at Le Mans, and all of these chips falling as they did, and having the right amount of races to where he can still be considered, he can still get the rookie benefit next year because he's not participating in too many races that out-qualify him for it.
Yeah.
Because of all of that, he had to get signed to a team basically that week, and if McLaren didn't do it that moment, they would have lost the driver for who knows how many years.
Yeah.
So it was harsh, but unfortunately, it had to happen that way.
Yeah, I feel bad for Teo.
It was really sad. He was tweeting about how he was so excited.
And then he had to delete his Laguna Seca tweet. That was sad.
I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll get a spot.
Yeah, I think so.
We joked that he was going to Formula One.
Yeah, we were like, maybe that's why.
Yeah. But, so he did not participate.
And, hopefully just Nolan has a successful time, and that multi-year contract with the number 6 sticks out.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, he at least finishes out the year in the number 6 car.
Speaking of the number 6, should we talk about David's return?
Yeah.
I feel like he had a very great return.
He had a great return, and honestly, like, a lot of the commentators are talking about how this is a very difficult track, like, physically, because of the turns, the high-speed corners, the corkscrew, the hairpin, all of that.
He's also putting more pressure because of the turns on the wrist that he injured.
Right. He's only, like, 80% recovered, so a lot of them were, like, really expecting him and coming in with the anticipation that he wouldn't even be able to finish the race. His team was okay with that. Like, everyone was kind of expecting that, so it wasn't even... He did great.
He did so good. He made it to the Fast 12 in qualifying. He started 12th, which is still so good for not racing in IndyCar in, 9 months or something?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And being injured with only 80% mobility, recovery.
80% recovered, yeah.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. Mobility and recovery, I feel like, are a little different.
Yep, and he ended up in 16th.
Yeah, and he stayed in the top 10 for a while. Mm-hmm. I think the safety cars and full course yellows didn't help. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like he did a great job.
Yep.
Very, very happy for him.
Definitely. So, kind of going over the top 3, Alex Palou did win. Mm-hmm. Colton Herta came in 2nd, and Alexander Rossi came in 3rd. And I'm very happy with that podium. Mm-hmm. I love all 3 of them. I do wish Colton would have won, but that's okay. The only way that would have made it better is if it was Pietro up there.
Pietro did pretty well.
He did pretty good.
Yeah.
He did fantastic during practice 2 or 3. I forget which one.
Oh, yeah.
I saw he finished in 5th, and I was like, whoa!
You were so excited.
I was so excited. I posted all over my Instagram story. But yeah, he ended up finishing in 14th, so for all my Pietro girlies. That's the Pietro update. Do we want to very quickly do our podium pops and podium...
Podium pops.
Nope.
No.
Champagne pops and champagne problems. Mm-hmm. Okay. My IndyCar champagne pop, I actually am giving to 2 people. Mm-hmm. One, I'm going to give to Palou. He did a fantastic race. He was, strategy wasn't always perfect, mm-hmm. but his pace was perfect. If he would have had better strategy, he would have blown people out of the water. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also going to give a champagne pop to David.
Nice.
Because, again, he did fantastic for his first race back, even with limited mobility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I gave my champagne pop to Nolan mm-hmm. because not only did he do really good, but he also spun out at one point and was pretty far behind, and he caught up very well. Mm-hmm. What place did Nolan finish in again?
Nolan finished in
14th?
12th.
Yeah. That is so well. He did great.
Yeah.
I also give an honorable mention to Dave.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Great job, Dave.
Good job, Dave.
My champagne problem is given, again, to a whole team. I'm giving it to Penske.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's up them this weekend?
I don't know.
Just
something in the air.
Have the proper cursing abilities.
Yeah. You need to be careful. That's powerful.
I know. I cursed Nico Hulkenberg at one point, too. I caught on a video, actually.
You're literally the new Nico Rosberg.
Oh, my gosh.
No selfies. No selfies with the car. Yeah, when we're at Mid-Ohio, you're not allowed to take selfies with anyone. Sorry.
Aww. Oh, no.
You gotta be strategic about it.
Well, Team Penske, I'll find you.
Why is Gracie hanging out around the Penske car so much? And she's taking so many photos, too.
We were like, damn, I thought she was an Arrow McLaren girl. I gave my champagne problem to Ferrucci again. Buddy.
Yeah, he had a big moment where mm-hmm. Ferrucci bumped, and it wasn't a big moment for him, but he bumped Kiff and Simpson. Mm-hmm. And then Kiffin Simpson kind of spun a little bit, and then Graham Rahal bumped into him, T-boned him pretty hard.
Yeah, pretty hard.
And they both were out from that incident.
Yeah. Also, just with his incident with Roman in the practice, mm-hmm. and I agree with what James
Hinchcliffe.
Thank you. I always say his last name wrong. Mm-hmm. Said he basically said they either need to grow up and stop, or they need to go out in the parking lot and duke it out.
They got history.
Like, what is going on? Throw some punches, get it over with.
Get it over. Man, I would love to see them throw some punches.
Yeah.
Like, woo! It'd be fun.
It happens at Mid-Ohio.
I would love that.
We're standing in the paddock and we're like,
we do have pit and paddock passes for Mid-Ohio. So imagine they literally start doing it.
You would be like this. Their faces.
I would be like, break them up and be like, go.
We're cheering them. We're like, Roman.
Exactly. Wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would
to
be
be there for it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love that. And then anything else to add for IndyCar?
No.
Yeah, we don't have an IndyCar race this week. The next race is Mid-Ohio, which is 2 weeks from now.
We will be
which
there.
we will be at. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited.
I was actually just thinking about it. I was like, it's been so long since we've been to a race, and it's literally not even been a full month yet. But it literally feels like it's been 3 months since we've been at a racetrack.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
I lost all of my summer clothes and my move, and I have no clue where they are. like
struggling.
all my dresses, all my rompers. I literally have no clue what I'm gonna wear to Mid-Ohio, so at the moment I can't go.
Yeah. Well, she has her chance. She's going.
If you guys send me some outfits.
Yeah, send some inspo. What are you wearing to Mid-Ohio?
What are you wearing just this summer in general? Actually,
Yeah.
I just need summer clothes. That's a whole tub of clothing.
Love it. And then I'm going to quickly go over the race results for Formula 1 Academy and Formula 2. Mm-hmm. We don't really have that much time to break it down. And we didn't get to watch the full races for them.
They were early.
But something to note is that today, both for the Formula 1 Academy Race 2 and for the feature race for Formula 2, mm-hmm. both of the winners were American, and we got to hear the national anthem.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Loved it. So Formula 1 Academy, race 1 was won by Abby Pulling. Mm-hmm. She did great. And then the second race was won by Chloe Chambers. It was really cute.
Chloe.
Go watch it, because she had a really cute moment with her dad.
She did.
And also we're big Chloe fans, because we support her and Leah. They're both American drivers.
Leah got some good points this weekend too.
Yep. Dorian was back in the car too, which was great. Mm-hmm. All in all, pretty good weekend for Formula 1 Academy.
Yeah.
Hamna got her first podium as well.
Oh, yes. And what sucks is we're not going to see Formula 1 Academy again until, I believe, Zandvoort.
Yep.
Which is so
crazy. It's crazy. I agree. Formula 2 will be in Silverstone.
Wait, do they go to Austria?
I thought I saw that they did. I actually have it up right here.
I might have messed it up. I think they might go to Austria.
That's what I thought, but then you made me second guess myself.
Sorry.
Calendar.
Because I have the schedule saved.
They will be... Yeah. They're in Austria.
Oh, cool.
And Silverstone.
Yeah, so they also have a triple.
So that'll be
header.
Good. Triple header, yep. So for the sprint race was won by Victor Martins.
Victor
Martins. And then, again, the America. The feature race was won by Jack Crawford.
Nice.
So, pretty good. Mm-hmm. Paul Aaron is still leading.
Oh, yeah. We need to talk about Paul Aaron more. Mm-hmm. He literally got dropped as a Mercedes junior driver. Mm-hmm. Dropped from the Mercedes team, and he's, literally doing so good. He also... Not only is he in F2 right now, but he competed in another race. I'm talking too much, and I don't remember what race it was, so literally everybody ignore me. But he's been doing so good in his racing, and, I don't know, he needs to be talking more. He's not on, a junior team. He doesn't have a big team backing him right now, and...
He's someone pick him up.
Someone pick him up.
Someone needs to notice him. Isaac Hajar is still in second. Mm-hmm. He was not very happy with his qualifying results. It was actually very sad. He qualified in 11th, which is probably the worst place to qualify, because not only are you in 11th for the feature race, but you're also still in 11th for the sprint race, because they only reverse the grid for the top 10.
Yeah.
So a really shitty spot to be in all around. He was not happy at all.
Yeah.
So...
Crazy weekend.
We have
another crazy weekend ahead of us, so make sure you are following us on our socials.
We will be posting the schedule again, because it'll be Formula 1 and Formula 2. Mm-hmm. I don't know about Formula 3. I don't really keep up with Formula 3 at all, so...
it's hard. Too much.
Too much. But yeah, definitely tune in, because you'll be giving another race recap next week, as well as kind of talking about our expectations for Mid-Ohio. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe by then we'll have an update about Carlos, and the chips will fall after that. I do think that once that is announced, it'll be pretty quick. So.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
We will see you all next week.
Bye.